I listened to an audio thing, and they do like a step-by-step, for you to trigger it. And I actually felt the buzzing at the back of my neck, and it scared the crap out of me, and I never did it again. But then after doing so, I think like just sporadically, as soon as I got into the paranormal, when you start becoming spiritually awakened and you're embracing spirituality to a whole new level, you start to, obviously experience more of these things. And it would just occasionally happen to me. And that's when I bought a book about astral projection and learning all about it. And I mean, there's a lot of people, think it's dangerous and like things can possess you. I mean, what do you think about that?
No. If it was dangerous, I wouldn't be alive, in the sense that, nor would I be practicing it, because I've been doing it. My body's 20. I've been around for 21 years, coming up to 22 years now. It's my birthday in a couple of weeks, and I've been doing it actively near enough every day. If it was dangerous, I wouldn't be around and I wouldn't be talking about it. There are certain ways of thinking that most people get themselves into, like thought forms, for example. It wasn't until I started watching my nan's videos on horror movies that's when the fear started to creep up on me. When I was a child doing it, I wasn't scared of it at all. So a lot of people watch these horror movies over and over again, and they buy into a kind of like mindset that says that if they pop out and see that thing that they see on TV, that this will happen to them. That's more oftentimes never the case, ever.
Right. And in my opinion, I don't think anything can come into your body unless you give it some sort of invitation. And I mean, that's where I think, what I like to call spiritual rules of engagement. These things aren't allowed to do anything to you unless you let them do it to you. And, the dark entities feed off fear. And obviously, you had told me briefly before you had come in contact with, you were astral projecting, you actually saw a dark entity hovering over someone in bed or something like that, and it saw you, came up to you and tried to threaten you. And what was that actually happened to you before?
Yeah, there is a tale that parents tell their kids at night, the whisper spirit, most people know them as, or the boogeyman. When I was a child growing up, these entities would never touch me. Okay, they were the dark entities. And the only way to, I guess you'd say, graduate to allowing them into your presence is to acknowledge some sort of idea that they can do certain things to you. Like, if you hear about the boogeyman and you buy into it and you get scared of it, you've now opened yourself up to experiencing something in the astral realms that's like that. But they can never actually touch you. And when I was a child, I used to see this happen all the time. They like to stay under your bed, and they like to scratch on the bottom of your bed. They like to open your closets and just terrify you. They won't show themselves. They don't like being seen. And that's what annoyed this being, because I was in the astral realms and I saw what looked like a cloud at first, but then I started to make up the shoulders and then the head and the hood that was over him and its hands. Now in the astral realms, the color's very exaggerated. Okay, everything's very vibrant. This being was incredibly dark and he was absorbing a lot of light, like a black hole, right? And he was above this guy. He was above him, and the guy was terrified. He didn't know what was going on and he couldn't see what was in front of him. But he was like paralyzed, like he was in sleep paralysis. And the energy was coming off in waves of color, and was being absorbed by this being. And after I saw him and walked in on this, I guess you can call it a feeding, he saw me, got incredibly angry, and then he moved to the door frame incredibly quick. Like, the speed in which he moved was rapid. He then hit the sides of the door frame and shook the entire house, after which he charged at me, right? And when he charged at me, he put his hands around my neck and threw me through a wall. Now we're taking off through this wall, and now it's like there's nothing behind us, there's no space, it's like we're outside, okay? And I put my hands back over onto his throat. I think this guy's got his hand over my neck. I'm not going to allow that. I'm going to do the same thing back to show him that we have power, So I put my hands around his throat and I said, this is my house, this is my astral domain, you do not have permission to be here. This terrified him, because it's like it shrank him. He had no power, period. It's like I was just taking away all of his power, which gave him strength, or at least made him exist.
You're saying as soon as it came up to you, you stood your ground and you were confident with no fear and saying, you're not allowed to be here. And, this thing took a step back.
Yeah.
And I think what happened next, right? Something you saw this white glow that came all around your body.
The second occasion I met shadow beings of this nature that can absorb light, they were in my room. I astral projected, and there was 4 of them. One was sat on top of my wardrobe, right?
Mm.
And they asked me a bunch of questions. They asked me where I was from. I said, I'm Ryan. I'm from 3D. I astral project quite a lot. This isn't anything new to me. And then they started to bicker. They started to talk amongst themselves, whispering. You know, then one of them came at me, and he didn't come at me like to attack me or anything. He just went to put his hand on me. You know, he was curious. He came up to me slowly and just touched me. When he touched me, I felt his energy. I felt his mindset. He didn't have good intentions. And when he touched me, my hand and my arm and half my chest lit up white. Like it was giving out a lot of light. And it burnt them like really fast. And then they all just spread and scattered through the walls and just vanished. And the entire feeling within the room just lifted completely. It was gone. And since that happened, nothing has been able to touch me, go near me, or go near anybody that I know of. So, yeah.